Good morning. Thank you for coming. This is a good attendance. I'm happy for this. My name is Nancy Najelski. I write Eco News for the Alert as part of the Environment Committee. I will pay you later. Thank you. And one of the things I've been recently doing in Eco News, obviously I talk about composting pretty regularly, but there was a new law that went into effect in January, and during Earth Week, Cedar Grove came and talked about that new law. And I was surprised that within Horizon House, pretty much either nobody remembered about it being talked about Earth Week, and even our dining staff did not know about this new compostable container law. So to me, with all the questions I received from Eco News, I thought it was really important to bring in the expert who can tell us all about the new compostable container law and just in general about composting. We have show and tell here. Hopefully, Chef Steve will be able to get here. He's having some sourcing issues for the food for the buffet, but he does plan on being here, and that would be helpful. I have to give a big shout out to our dining staff, because once they knew about the compost law, the new law, they really got on board with helping us and working with the Environment Committee to do this. So they've been really, really great in this. So now I want to introduce our expert. Sierra Arredondo was here in April for our Earth Week thing, and she's back again, and I hope to bring her back maybe on a regular basis to keep reminding us how to compost, and that's what she's going to talk about. So Sierra?
Thank you, everyone, for having me here. It's always a pleasure to be on site somewhere with our customers to review our compost program and what's accepted. As Nancy said, my name is Sierra Arredondo. I'm the outreach coordinator, and it's my main role to educate our customers to make sure they know what's accepted. And there are lots of laws that come out, and sometimes the government doesn't do a great job pushing out those laws and educating those that are affected. So because this law affects us, because we are the composter, we try to do whatever we can to help our customers know about it. So just a little background history of Cedar Grove. I'll briefly go through this since I was here earlier this year. We have been a composter since 1989. We've been a part of the recycling industry in Seattle since 1938. So we've been here for a while. We're a local family-owned company, but it was in 1989 when the city of Seattle asked us to start recycling organic waste. So we create our first composting facility in Maple Valley, and we just did yard waste. And then in 2004, the city asked us to take food waste. So then we built our second facility, and between the two, we divert over 350,000 tons of organic material from the landfill every year. So we're a small family-owned company that does some major stuff. And you guys are a part of that. Along our timeline, we created our own certified compostable packaging line. This is because there is so much food waste left on those packaging materials that we want to collect. We created our own line to help our customers, like our restaurants, make sure that they have something that they can trust that has been certified and they can put in their own food waste bins. So we have created that line in 2007 and just recently have updated our line to coordinate with this new law. So let's just review the issue, why organics sending it to landfill is an issue. 30% of what we send to the landfill is organic matter, and a lot of people think food waste will break down no matter where it goes. But this is not true. Your food, your apple, or your carrot, like these carrots right here, you can see they're black on the outside, but broken open, they're still bright orange. These have been in the landfill for 10 years. Your food waste does not break down in landfill because it just gets piled up. It does not get oxygen. Just like you and I, we need oxygen to breathe. When our body doesn't get oxygen, we become anaerobic and toxic. Food waste is the same thing. It holds its form. It emits a gas called methane, which is 25, 30 times more likely to trap in heat. So a solution to this is composting, where we recycle that. We break it down into soil, we put it back into the environment so we can grow more produce. And there are so many amazing benefits to composting, which I can get into a little bit later. Here are some statistics for us. I actually wanted to showcase to you guys so you know, just last year in 2023, Horizon House, this is an estimated diversion based on your size of your container. You guys diverted over 65.10 tons of organic material. That's a lot. That's a lot of material. So you pat on the back for you guys for diverting that. That's about the same size as a Pacific Northwest right whale. I don't know if you know what that is. I just learned about it. They're endangered. But that's a lot of material, so good on you guys. So there's lots of different types of composting. I will only be talking about commercialized composting because we are a commercial hauler. We compost on a grand scale. So our piles are massive. The bigger they are, the hotter they get. The hotter they get, the more they can break down. We are one of the very few, one of the only ones in Seattle, composters that takes packaging because we can break it down. Most composters in the state of Washington don't even take it because their piles can't get hot enough to break it down in a short period of time. So that kind of sets us apart. So let's review what's compostable. Food. All food is compostable, including bones and shells, raw meat, post-consumer food, so that's your leftovers, and food that's recalled. So let's say Jif, I know that was a couple years ago, Jif had a recall on their peanut butter, and nobody could eat it, right? They had to throw it away. We want that peanut butter because it has good and bad bacteria, but it's helpful for our breakdown process. So even when food is recalled, we still want that organic waste. Next is food soiled paper. So this is very basic. Keep it as basic as possible. This is your napkins, your food soiled paper towels. If there's paper that's wrapped on something, on a burger or something like that, that is compostable. And greasy pizza boxes, coffee filters, what have you. They need to be uncoated or unlined. So keep this as simple as possible if you can. Last is approved, certified, compostable packaging. Now this is where the new law comes in. So Washington State and Department of Ecology, they created this law because there were tons of manufacturers in the state of Washington that were sending out greenwashed materials. Does anybody know what greenwashing is? So greenwashing is when a company says something is environmentally friendly when it's not, just to boost sales. So this is putting a leaf on something, or putting a tree on something, or making it, say, carbon neutral or plant friendly when there's no certifications stating that this item is even helpful or renewably sourced. So that's greenwashing, and there's a lot of it across the country, across the world. So this law is geared towards manufacturers that if they're going to sell products in the state of Washington, they have to be easily identifiable and certified to break down in a compost process. You can no longer just put your stamp that this is compostable on anything. It has to be certified and showcased on that item that it has been tested. So here are the 3 identifiers. First, it needs to say the word, well, first it needs to have that certification. So a few examples of what a certification is BPI. That is the most common one. So if you see something that says BPI, that means it's been tested and certified to break down. However, we use CMA. And I'll get into CMA in a little bit here, because CMA actually field tests products. This means that they go to composting facilities, they put these products, this cup, in the compost piles, and they make sure that it breaks down in a certain time period. Some other certifiers do not do that. So we have all of our products are CMA certified. There's a good portion of BPI products that are also CMA certified. So keep that in mind. So it has to be certified. it has to say the word compostable. Any other word, such as biodegradable or plant-friendly, is prohibited in the state of Washington. It has to say the word compostable. So those are two things. The third, it has to be green, brown, or beige. These are the only 3 accepted colors for compostable items. So if it's any other color, a knife or a fork that's black or white, it is no longer accepted in the state of Washington. This is because color is one of the easiest tools to train someone, to train students, to train staff, to train people. When you see a green or a brown container, that's compost. When you see a blue container, that's recycle. If you see a black container, that's trash. So these colors are very important for your compostable items as well. On the flip side of that, any items that are made from a plastic material are no longer allowed to have these colors. So when you see white or black, that's supposed to be plastic. Does that make sense? If it's compostable, it has to be brown, green, or beige. If it's plastic, it can be any other color. So this is the new law. This is not from us. We did not bring this law out. This was Washington State Department of Ecology. However, we love this law. We love it. We like to talk about it because we are very invested in our stream because we're the composters. We're the ones turning this into soil and putting it back into the community. So we love a law like this to help educate manufacturers and consumers. Keep in mind, this law affects manufacturers. So Horizon House is not going to get a fine for having white or black cutlery or what have you. But it's good for you guys to know what this law is so you can invest in products that coordinate with this law. The more us consumers can invest in these products and help train or teach people, the harder the law is going to stand by and find those manufacturers that aren't using it. So here are some examples of packaging. We have some amazing examples here that you guys actually use, so I will be utilizing these. One thing I want to note of like why color is super important, especially on the composter side, is that it is very difficult to tell, before this new law, it was very difficult to tell what was compostable and what was not. So you have white compostable cutlery here. Or let's say if this was black, can you tell, these are all black here, can you tell which one of these are compostable and which one is plastic? It's so hard, right? So it's so difficult. That's why color is so important. Now, let's say you saw a whole bunch of white cutlery and a whole bunch of brown cutlery. Which one would you put through the compost process with this new law? The brown one. Exactly. Because color is a great identifier. So that's why we love this law. Here's some examples from some loads that I wanted to showcase from you guys. So these are examples of coffee cups and other cold cups that follow this law. Can you see? It might be a little difficult, but can you see the green striping around them? That's really helpful for composters. When we get thousands of tons of material a day, and we see a whole load of white or black coffee cups, we don't know if it's compostable or not. But if we see a load of coffee cups that have a bunch of brown and green stripes, we know this has been certified, send it through, it will break down. Same for these. There's two different types of materials here. What would you pick as something that could be composted based on this law? The green, right? Even though it's like a shiny looking material, because it's a PLA, and this looks like maybe like a fiber or what have you, when you have the law in your head of knowing what colors are accepted, it is easier for the consumer and the composter to know what to send through the process. So we love this law. So, because what color is it? Because it's white. Yes. So the color identifiers are very helpful. So let's review some things that you guys see here on site. You have some amazing products that are certified, well identifiable, follow the color coordinating. So let's review. I'm going to start with the easiest first. So you have white cutlery. It says compostable on here. And you also have brown cutlery. Which ones do we think are compostable and which ones should we put in the landfill? Brown. Exactly. So these, because they are no longer, or because they are white or black, they are no longer accepted in the state of Washington. So these are now landfill. Correct. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. So these, why are these compostable? How do we know? They're brown, they say compostable, and they have a BPI certification. They have all three. Yes? Right. So then that would be something that could be helpful for the dining staff. If you only invest in one color that's compostable, then you make it simple. Then you all know all the forks and the spoons in the dining area are compostable, if you can't see the color. So no white and brown, just one color. We'll get there. We'll get there. I'll work through them because I have those examples on the table, so we'll get there. Let's move on to the next items. Where do we think we should put these? Yeah, why? They're green. They're green, they stay compostable, and they have a BPI certification. So this is exactly what we want to see in the compost. This is what helps us know that this is compostable. Now, even though if you have harder eyesight, you can't see the word compostable, the color alone should be helpful for you to identify. Because again, with this law, plastics are no longer allowed to have this color. Does that make sense? So anything that looks like this has to be compostable in the state of Washington. Now let's move on to some items that are clear, like this. Where would we put this now? This would have to be trash. That's because it says compostable, so it's a compostable item, so it cannot be recycled because it'll turn into goop in the recycling stream. However, it does not have the compostable verbiage on here. There's no green, there's no word that says compostable, so this is no longer accepted in the compost. But can you easily identify that this is compostable? It does. But can you easily identify this is compostable? It needs all three. So look at the difference here. Between the two, can you tell which one's compostable? Because this is green. This one you cannot easily identify. Because you cannot easily identify it, it does not qualify as something that is accepted in the compost stream in the state of Washington any longer. So this would be landfill. Questions? Yes.
If some of those non-compostable things sneak through your process,
And they do.
yes, do they get composted?
So are you saying if it's actually plastic?
No, if it says compostable and it sneaks through, is it?
It will probably break down.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll probably break down.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Most likely. But because you can't identify where it goes,
Right.
it doesn't go
I
anywhere.
got you there, but
Yes.
it's not going to screw up the whole system
No.
if it sneaks in there And because your sorting system can't be
For
100%.
peace of mind, yes, it'll be fine. But for going forward, use the colors. Use what the law is providing for you. So let's move on to another example. This is a ramekin, a little ramekin that's green tinted. Where should this go? Compost! Even though it's very difficult to see, it says compostable, it has the BPI certification, but you can easily identify it's compostable because of the color. Now let's talk about straws. There's so many different types of straws out there. Our straws are brown. Your straws are green. Now, straws, they usually don't have any verbiage on them except on the paper. So, just looking at this material, where do you think this should go? Compost. Why do we think it's garbage? It's green, it's compost. And the paper is fine. It will compost. It's uncoated paper. So these are great. Coffee cups. Let's get into coffee cups because there's so many different types of coffee cups. Where do these coffee cups go? Why? It's got a green stripe. It says compostable in that green stripe. And you can easily identify this BPI symbol. This has all three easily identified markers. Now let's say you just had a coffee cup that had no markers. It was just white. Where would it go? Actually, this is a question for you, Nancy. Where would you put coffee cups? What does Recology accept uncoated coffee cups in recycling? Oh, who drinks? Oh, okay. So if it was white and it wasn't compostable, most of the time it's probably just a paper cup with a plastic lining. And in the city of Seattle, those are usually recyclable. But because you have a compost cup, it's green, it says compostable, and has the BPI certification, this goes to the compost. What about these lids? Where do they go? Compost. Because they're green, they say compostable, and they have the BPI certification. Now, this is not my brand. This is not Cedar Grove, but I love these bowls. Where do these bowls go? You have a brown one and a green one. Compost. Why? Because they're green and brown. They say the word compostable, and they have the BPI symbol. So these are all amazing products that you guys are investing in that break down in our process and turn into soil that goes back into the community. So let's talk about some other items that can be difficult. Yes.
Actually, last evening, I think, I got things from the Bistro, and it had the green and the brown insides, but the clamshell is sort of cream colored. What the heck do I do with that?
Yeah, let's get into clamshells, because that can be challenging. Yeah. So the clamshell, can you easily identify what this is? What color? Looks white, right? It's very difficult. Now, I cannot identify, just by looking at it, if it's compostable. If you open it up, it says compostable, and it has the BPI symbol, which is really great. Now, for those who order these, does anybody here who orders these? Yes? Do you know what color it says on the invoice that this is? It still says white. So for those investing in these products, that is a key indicator of what that item would fall under. If it says beige, like if you get cutlery that says beige, compostable and certified, then it would be compostable and follow the law and be compliant. Now, if it says white, then it no longer complies with the law. So this, I cannot confirm that this can go into our process just by looking at it. So that's very difficult. Now, I know that I sent this material, or we sent these manufacturing numbers to our certifier, because if it's not easily identifiable, we then have to check with our certifier to see, does this break down in our process? Turns out, these do not. And that is because it is made from molded fiber, which is most likely sugar cane, which does not break down in our process. It just catches on fire. So this is more of a buyer conversation. This is not a real conversation to have because really the buyer should be investing in items that make it easier for you, right? For the consumers. That's what the manufacturers, this is why the law affects the manufacturers. Now I do have some information on why this doesn't break down. Would that be helpful for you guys? Or would that be more confusing? I don't want to confuse you. Yeah, you wake up confused. Okay, so let's get into our certification. Why is it so important that certifiers test their products to make sure they break down? This was not happening for a very long time. The manufacturers making the items were not talking to the composters composting the items. There was no connection there. So CMA comes along and they say, we need this conversation. We need a middleman to certify so that the composters know the material coming in can break down into soil. So our composter is CMA, stands for Compost Manufacturing Alliance. They are nationwide. They are all across America, and they test products at facilities all across America. Cedar Grove is the facility they use in Washington. So let's talk about the different types of composting processes. We are this one. Our process is an in-vessel composting process. Can anybody tell what the difference between ours and the other ones look like? Just by looking at it, what's different? It's covered. Our process is covered. So that means we can trap in heat and our piles get so much hotter than others. Our process is significantly shorter than other composting processes. So windrow, this is the top one here, that composting process is about 90 days. These are lower temperatures at a longer period of time. So there are items that are certified by CMA to break down in a windrow process that cannot break down in an in-vessel process. So between the two, these are lower temperatures for a longer period of time. Ours are hotter temperatures at a shorter period of time. No, composting, no. The only thing composting emits is carbon dioxide, which is just like you and I. Yeah.
Why is the covered not considered anaerobic?
So composting isn't an anaerobic process. It's because we pump in oxygen. So because ours is covered, we have to bring in oxygen, where in the other processes, they're getting oxygen from the air that's out around them. So that's a good question. And I can go into our process a little bit if we have time at the end to showcase how we do that. But let's get back to this container here. So this is something that is certified by CMA to break down in a compost process, but it cannot break down in ours. This is something that can be break down in a windrow because it's lower temperatures at a longer period of time. In our process, which is higher temperatures in a short amount of time, it just catches on fire. So this is something that is important for buyers that are investing in materials to make sure they're investing in items they know their hauler can accept. So that is something that's more on the buyer side, but something good for you guys to know. But because you cannot easily identify it, where would it go? Trash. See, I asked you, I said, is this going to be more confusing?
So, I have a question. I'm asking, so you're saying that we have a contract with Seattle Public Utilities, but they're hauling our compost to you?
We haul your compost directly.
Okay, you come and get it. So
Yes.
it's not Recology that's...
Correct.
Okay. All right, thanks for the clarification.
Yes. Yes. Good question. She asked if Seattle Public Utilities hauled the compost here and took it to us, but we directly haul your compost. We are the direct hauler, so Cedar Grove comes and picks it up, and we are the composter.
What happens when that container does get in your closed system and catches fire?
Then we have to manage it and put it out.
In our waste recycle room, we don't use the word trash, we say landfill. So everybody, landfill is the chute, and landfill is that little kitty litter box.
Good to know. Landfill is great to use too, because it's really helpful to train people to know where it's going. Because sometimes people are like, oh, it's trash, and they disassociate from what that means. But the landfill is, it's going to the landfill. It's going to bring space or take up space. I know this is a lot, so any other questions on the packaging? What else can we review? Lids. Oh, that is a great one. Thank you. So this lid, this is a fun one. Where can you easily identify where this goes? Landfill. Why? It's white, and although you can't tell, it doesn't have the word compostable, and it doesn't have a BPI certification. So this is actually plastic. So this is a plastic lid that's on a compostable coffee cup. That's tough. That's tough. So good job on that. So let's review some items, or we can do questions. Yes. Oh, sorry.
Often those little notes will say compostable in appropriate places. And that, how do we know whether we're appropriate or not?
That's a great question. The only difference is, so it says compostable.
What's the question?
The question is, some items say compostable only in industrialized settings or what have you. That basically means that it's accepted in a commercialized composting and not your backyard. It's basically telling you don't put it in your backyard compost, because some people can have like a little composting unit that they turn in their backyard. It's saying that that item will not break down in your turner.
My question is egg cartons and also paper towels.
Yes. Both of them are compostable.
So if the label of the egg carton.
Yes, the sticker, that good old sticker. So if it's just a plain old egg carton that's paper, it's usually just paper. So that's compostable. I like to keep my eggshells in there and put it all in the compost at once. If it has a sticker, right, because it's just a paper product. Yep. Same with napkins. Napkins don't have to be brown or green or what have you, because it's just a paper. It's a paper product, so both of them are accepted. Now, if that item has a sticker, that's plastic. So plastic will not break down. So that sticker should come off. The egg carton itself
carton
is
label
usually
has
paper.
to be removed.
Yes.
Actually, I had the same question. For paper, it's essentially any paper if it's not coated.
Correct.
Regardless of color.
Correct.
And include newspaper.
So paper products are like a different category. So it's food soiled paper, and compostable packaging. Because paper is one of the easiest things to break down alongside food. So when I say food soiled paper, keep it as simple as possible. Your napkins, your paper towels, coffee filters. Ooh, we talk about this all the time. Where are you supposed to put your shredded paper? The trash. The landfill, sorry. Thank you. Yeah. The landfill. Why? Who knows why? Because...
Here. I just want to say...
The box?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So the shredded paper is too small to go in the recycling. It'll mess up the stream. And we don't want it in the compost because it may contain plastics. Mm-hmm. Like let's say your an envelope, like a mail envelope, sometimes have a plastic window, right? We don't want that in our compost. So shredded paper across Seattle is supposed to go into the landfill.
I just want to say something about that. In our trash rooms are posters from Seattle Public Utilities that tell you to put the
Good question. Sierra was wonderful at bringing us a bunch of posters that for compostability that we're going to put in all the waste recycle rooms, because the ones like you're talking about right now from Seattle Public Utilities are outdated and not correct. So if anybody would like to help my husband and I put up these posters in all the waste recycle rooms, because it's going to take a while. And she also brought us stickers that can go on the compost bin, the lids of the bin. So we are going to be replacing all those compost posters in all the waste recycle room.
I have a question about the
I'll let her ask her question first, then we can go over to you, if that's okay.
question is about the box on the corner here, which looks sort of beigey, sort of brownish, but it looks different from the white one.
Yeah.
Is that one compostable?
So I'll revert back to the buyers.
Yes.
Do we know what color this says?
It's kind of beigey.
Kind of beigey, right?
It's kind of beigey, yeah.
So if it does not look white, which is good. On the inside, it says compostable and BPI. So in the state of Washington, this is accepted in the compost. In the state of Washington. This, what does it look like? White. This, green. Where does it go? Compost.
Sierra, you want to address the papers too?
Not really.
I just have,
Oh, so sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I just have one comment, which is this is a process change for the
Yes.
people in the bistro, because literally everything in the bistro is a lovely green container with a plastic sticky label on it, which then has to be peeled off. So if there's a way to get a compostable label that will do the same job, that would be a really great idea.
Also, can we just give a round of applause to our dining staff for investing in products? Like, thank you. This is a challenge. This is a challenge, and we want to recognize the effort you guys are putting in to invest in products that are easily identifiable. This is a law that the state did not do any help in pushing out. So the fact that they are investing in these items because you guys are all curious and want to know the correct thing is really helpful. So give yourselves grace, give your dining staff grace. This is something that this is changing within this year, but you're already set up with a lot of items that are helpful to easily identify.
Sierra, can you, though, go back to the paper side?
I will. So these ones are a bit difficult to tell if they break down. I'm just going to go by the state law. They're beige. They're white. But these are like parchment paper, right? These are supposed to resist heat and grease, right? Our process has heat, needs heat to break down items. So this is not just regular paper, this is like a parchment paper. This is not like food soiled, so what's the difference between this and a napkin? But what's the difference between this and a napkin? It's coated. So these, I believe these are, do they, for those, since they don't have any verbiage on them, do we know if these say compostable on the packaging? Yeah. So there is compostable parchment paper out there to resist, or they're made to help hold food items and things. But keep in mind, this is not like a napkin. This main purpose is to resist heat and repel water, repel grease. right? So that alone is an indication that it will not break down in our process. Does that make sense?
Which means removing them from the container, if it's in a compostable container, and putting it in landfill.
Just another fun step.
I can't talk really well. I know that paper towels that have food contamination are compostable. What about paper towels that we use to mop up other messes on the floor?
That's a great question. So what are you using to mop up the mess? The question was, food, soiled paper towels and napkins can go where?
Compost.
Like compost. But what about napkins that are used to mop up like spills or what have you?
Or paper towels. I use paper towels for everything.
Sure. Now, it depends what you're mopping up. Are you mopping up food?
No, I'm talking about something else that's spilled on the floor. It might be, well, wine's food. It might be, I might have a cleaning product down there.
Okay, so a cleaning product. What is a cleaning product supposed to do?
Clean.
Cleaning products are antibacterial. They're supposed to kill bacteria.
Oh, okay.
Our process is a microbial bacteria process. So napkins with cleaning products will just kill our process. So that's why we say food-soiled paper products. Food-soiled napkins, food-soiled paper towels. When you're cleaning up coffee, compost. When you're cleaning up a spill for wine, compost. Any kind of food to use to clean out something like a container that you're about to recycle, compost. Yogurt container, clean it out with a napkin, compost. But if you're going to clean your countertop and use a whole bunch of Lysol, you use paper towels, where do those paper towels go? Landfill!
Toilet paper and paper towel, what do you call the rollers when you're all done?
Which is a cardboard.
Yeah, so they can go in compost, correct?
Yeah, they can go. They're not technically food soil, but they can break down, just like a pizza box.
And they're brown.
And they're brown. You can also recycle them. Yeah.
There are green compost bags that you're supposed to put foods and stuff in before you put it into the compost bin. But what about the other items besides food? Do you have to put it in the green bag?
Depends what items they are. What kind of items are you referencing?
Paper towels,
okay,
napkins, boxes, containers.
Are you asking if they're all compostable?
No, I'm asking, do they have to be put in this green bag?
The green bag is only for compost, right? So you can only put compostables in there before you put them in the compost stream. Is that what we're asking?
No.
No.
Okay.
She's asking if you get a box with food in it that's compostable, do you need to put it in the green bag or can you just throw it in our compost bin?
Oh, you don't have to, if it's a compostable item that has food, you don't have to use compostable bags. You can put it in the bin. However, bags help the bins stay cleaner for longer. So that's a preference for Horizon House staff.
Our bins, though, in the waste recycle room have the compostable bags inside them.
Sounds like you don't need it.
They're already there.
So it sounds like it's what? It's if it's helpful for you. If it's helpful for you to put it in a compostable bag, to put it in the container, then that's great. But it doesn't necessarily need one.
The thing is, I put my compostable things in a container that's only like 2-gallon size, and bring it to the room where there is the compostable bin. So things like lids and boxes and so forth don't fit into the bag, and I have to make more trips to the room where the bin is.
No, you don't have to put those in your bag, in your compost bin. You can put those directly into the beige. No, she does. She doesn't want to put them in a green bag in her apartment. Yeah, I know, but it doesn't have to go in your little compost bin. It goes in the big compost bin.
because there's a green bag in that. So
what I'm wondering if she's talking about pre-sorting in your apartment before going to the waste recycle room. Is that what you're referring to? Yeah. So she's actually talking about the idea of pre-sorting. In other words, in our apartments, that you have a container that's only for composting and you're using one of those green bags. You have a separate container that's only recyclables, and so you can take that to the recycle. It could be in a paper bag because those are recyclable. And a third container that is landfill.
Or you can have a fourth container to put the compostable boxes in and then just dump that in. I assume the brown trash bags are compostable.
If they say compostable and they're brown, they should be compostable.
Or you can just dump the stuff in that if you have containers.
Does everybody have a compost, recycle, and garbage in your home? Okay. And are they all color coordinated? Okay. In your apartment?
Horizon House provides all residents with a compostable container for their apartment.
Oh, perfect. And so when you fill that with compost, you can use a bag or not. I say
and if
use
you
a bag.
don't have one, the Environment Committee will provide it.
And then you take your compost bin to the waste room and dump it in the compost container there. Okay.
Right.
I like to know the inner workings, just so I can help.
It's also possible to use the compostable clamshells as your container to take the rest of your compost.
Which ones?
Right. A green one, or if you have a beige paper one.
Yes.
So all Amazon boxes are compostable.
No.
Where should you put your clean, dry cardboard? Recycle. Are they compost? Is the material? Actually, I'm not even getting into that. They should go into. That's true.
Yeah.
But we're talking about compostable packaging.
Okay.
That's the compostable packaging. That's what the law is referring to. Does that make sense?
So
it's for what
a box is not considered packaging, huh?
For food.
For
food.
Mm-hmm.
So compostable packaging means anything that is going to be served with food.
Okay.
Yes. Your Amazon boxes should be, where do you put them? Recycle. All clean, dry cardboard should go to the recycling for the next best, highest use. The only type of cardboard we want in the compost is pizza boxes, because they're all cardboard and they're food soiled. When it's food soiled, it cannot be recycled, so we compost it.
If it helps you, Bill, we're talking about food takeout containers.
Yes.
Not.
You're trying to trick me with the colors, huh?
He is.
Every once in a while, in the large compost bag container in the trash room, I find that someone has put in flowers, leftover flowers. Now, those are compostable?
Are they?
I'm asking, yes.
Yes.
They're not
Why?
food, roses,
No.
or let's say iris.
Well, but why?
They're
organic. They come from the planet. They will compost. Give us all your flowers and your leaves and your grass clippings and your food. Oh, yeah, I guess. Yes. Any other questions? Shall we review the products one more time? Would that be helpful? Yes.
Having taught this stuff a long time ago, the best thing to remember is when in doubt, throw it out. Because it won't mess up anything. It may not be the best thing we can do, but it sure won't mess up the other two processes. So send it to the landfill if you're in doubt.
Exactly.
The clear plastic glass that you have on the table. No, the other one down there. Yeah. It was my understanding that clear, clean plastic glasses, bottles, etc., go in recycling, correct?
That is correct. but these are not plastic.
Okay.
How do you know? So if they're plastic cups, they will have the recycle symbol on the bottom, and it'll say recycle. If it's a clear plastic cup, they should say recycle. This is not made from plastic. This is made from PLA. So this is something that does not go in the recycling, but it doesn't go in the compost because of why?
It's not green, brown, or...
It's not green, nor brown, or beige, and you can't easily identify it. So these items, these would go in the landfill. Now, if they said recycle, that means they're plastic, and they would go into the recycling. Isn't this fun?
Sometime back over here, the question arose: Can you provide compostable labeling so that the dining staff can put labels on that we don't have to tear off and put in the
like stickers? So we are currently always building out our compostable packaging line. I actually have a brochure that I can share with the dining staff. We do not have compostable labels at this time. I know there are some that exist. I know we are working to get our own Cedar Grove compostable labels, because that alone can be helpful for so many restaurants and businesses. But it's not on the market as of yet.
Can I ask a question for the dining staff? I don't know that they would ask this, but I'm going to ask it on behalf of them. I think you guys source from Cisco, is that right? Yeah. And okay, how do your prices compare to what they would get from Cisco for ordering?
Oh, I am not the correct person to ask for that, unfortunately. You can, if you order through Charlie's and what are some other ones? U.S. Foods, Harbor. We have our packaging line in a lot of different distributors.
WCP, he says that they order from?
Yeah, is that Charlie's Produce? Is that no? See, I don't know personally, but I can get you in touch with people who do know. We have an entire packaging team with a packaging specialist, and they're working diligently to make sure our products, along with other compostable products, are available. There are a ton of compostable products out there that are tested and certified. They also just need to follow the color coordinating as well. That's kind of the main issue.
Go ahead, Steve.
We are working with as many different distributors as we possibly can. You've noticed a lot of change in the containers that we're getting. So we are working to get everything 100% compostable. So stuff you're seeing today, like the white clamshell, the to-go box, that'll hopefully be brown in the future. Just as of today, what you're seeing there is what we have. But Nancy and I have been working together for a few weeks now, and some of those items have already changed over. So in the future, follow this presentation because hopefully a lot of our items are either green or brown and make it real simple for everyone. The stickers, on the other hand, are probably going to be stickers, and we're probably going to have to peel those off and trash them.
Yeah. Again, thank you for your diligence and investing in products, because this is awesome. Not a lot of businesses are taking the energy and time to do this, so thank them. We appreciate you. Yes.
We have amazing dining staff. Thank you so much. And I wanted to say, Nancy Nijelski and Mike Gould have said that they will take over the process of changing all of these signs in the waste recycle rooms. I will help, and I want to see who else here can help. Okay. Okay, can you email Nancy Nijelski? Or if you can't spell that, try Mike Gould.
And Barbara Brown is going to be providing us with double-sided tape, specific tape. So this is not posters we just want you to slap up using anything. So we're going to be getting some special tape from her to do this. So I do appreciate your help, because there's about 50 posters we're going to have to be putting up, and stickers.
Where do you make your money?
Do you mean like Cedar Grove? In any way we can. Yes. So we make our money from the inbound material. So from you pay us to take your food waste. So that's how we make money. So we are the hauler. We're also the composter. So we compost, which is a cheaper process. Actually, I shouldn't say that because composting, there's so much involved in that. But we also sell the product as well. So we work with a bunch of businesses all around the city of Seattle, including one of our biggest customers that then buys the compost is Washington State Department of Transportation. Now, why would a Department of Transportation buy compost? Does anybody know? So compost, which we didn't even get into the amazing benefits of composting, compost is now being used to filter chemicals in stormwater runoff. That's how incredible compost is because of the nutrient density it has. Because when you send your carrot to the compost, it keeps the nutrients, just goes right into that soil that it creates after that process. So because of the nutrient density, it is now being used to filter chemicals in stormwater runoff. So Washington State Department of Transportation, every time they build a road, and we like lots of construction here, they line the road with compost. So when it rains, any chemicals that are in the road from our tires or what have you, then go into the compost piles and drain out before they hit the waterways. So they're filtered. Fun. Science.
I don't have a question. I have a statement. In my garden, when I had one at our home, I always used Cedar Grove. And my dahlias and lilies were, 6 feet tall. And so thank you.
Thank you. Send us some pictures. We'd love to post about you. Oh.
I'm not sure. It may have been covered, but I don't remember it. The trays that come with frozen TV dinners. Say we used to call them TV dinners. Now they're anything. You go to Trader Joe's, you get all these wonderful products that are in these trays. You heat them up, you eat them. Are those something that when in doubt, throw them out?
Yeah, if you can't tell,
I can't. It doesn't say anything on them.
then if when in doubt, throw it out. If you can't tell where it goes, or if it doesn't state where it goes or what color it is, then throw it out. We have a few minutes left, so any remaining questions? Thanks. It can be challenging, so I applaud all of you and your efforts.
Let's say someone told me that you shouldn't throw away tea bags because they have microplastics in them. Is that true?
Depends what kind they are. Don't you love that answer? You'd have to search them on the CMA website. Yeah. When in doubt. When in doubt, throw it out.
Thank you, Sierra, for coming. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all for joining us. I'll stick around for this question.